So it is Monday morning. I've not done any work. I've literally put the whole day in my diary today just so I can get this done, because as much as I love Netgalley, I can't be trusted with it. I have requested so many books, and recently I have received so many approvals that I am now overwhelmed with the amount of books that I have on Netgalley. And I know that some people will like rack up their Netgalley thing and just get loads, and then they'll just work their way through them as and when they can, like they don't care about their percentage at all, whereas other people will specifically put them in TBRs and like work their way through them. I am neither of those people. I hate seeing it over like 30 or 60 books that I have been approved for and not reading them. And the problem is, I've never reached this number before, and now I'm really nervous. Like, I think the most I've ever left it is like at 5, and now, yeah, so I'm nervous, but I don't want to put them in my TBR because I don't want to commit to every Netgalley book. Now, if you've been with me a while, you will know that at the start of my booktube career, I talked about how as a writer, I would review books on the 3rd chapter. Basically because agents and publishers will do the same thing. They'll read the first 3 chapters, and if you haven't hooked them by the 3rd chapter, they're not going to give you the time of day. So why should I, as a reader, commit more than that to a book I just don't have any feelings for whatsoever? So my plan today is to just kind of give you my first impressions of these Netgalley arcs and just tick off the ones that I can write the review at 3 chapters because it's either not for me, or I can kind of guess where it's going, or I'm just not interested in it, and then I will know which ones I actually want to read the whole way through so that my review can be a bit more thorough. Because it's not that I can't write a review at that stage. I know whether it's going to be a good writing style, I'm going to know if the characters are empathetic, I'm going to understand the atmosphere, I'm going to understand the logic of it by chapter 3, because all of that should have been established. And if I don't think it has been established, or I don't like it, I'm not going to waste my fucking time. So this is going to be however long it needs to be as I give you the first impression of every book I've been approved for on Netgalley. I've opened my app. We are just going to start with whatever is at the top of the list. Let's see what's at the top of my list. The first thing is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Now, I was approved for this maybe 2 days ago, so it's one of my most recent. I'm really excited by this. I've read the first few chapters of Mexican Gothic. I ran out of month, so I didn't finish it, and I keep wanting to pick it up again, but I just haven't been in the mood for Gothic, and now the Gothtober is like on the horizon. I'm really in the mood for Gothic, so I will pick it up again. So what I'm saying is I am familiar with the writing style of this author, but for that book, not this one. Just as a little brief synopsis, this is set in Mexico City. We've got vampires, we've got street kids, we've got Aztec blood drinkers. It sounds absolutely sick. So I picked this up, or I applied for this one purely because Silvia Moreno Garcia, vampires, Gothtober on the horizon, and it just screams urban fantasy, vampire werewolf drama, and I just fucking love that. The front cover is really pretty. I will put that here, maybe somewhere. This is what I'm going to do. I'm clicking download. I'm going to read the first 3 chapters, and then I will get back to you on what my first impression of this book is.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I'm 3 chapters in, which totals at about 39 pages out of 270, so it's not too bad. Slightly longer chapters than I was expecting, but I'm really enjoying this. It has a really cool 90s neon vibe, vampire classics like Interview with a Vampire and Lost Boys, but with way cooler mythology. It does lean into like traditional stereotypes as well as some modern stuff, and what I really like is the fact that you have 3 separate characters that are on 3 separate journeys that all intermingle with each other, and it's very much a each hunter is being hunted kind of thing. So it already has drama, it has a lot going for it. Each voice has a very distinct writing style, which I really appreciate. It gives them a really distinctive voice, and I'm hyped for this one. I will absolutely be continuing with this one. I'm obviously not going to continue with it today, but I've made a note of what page I'm on, and I will continue at some point. But let's see what's next on my Netgalley list. So go back to my shelf and just pick the next thing that's at the top, which is Championess, This is an 18th century graphic novel by Legendary Comics. Elizabeth Wilkins struggles to make ends meet for her and her sister, so they decide to take on female bare knuckle boxing. In Bristol, bare knuckle boxing between women was like a really casual thing, and I know that it was quite common for Victorian women, like suffragette women, to earn money from boxing, so I'm assuming it's going to be about that. But again, I'm just going to give it the first few pages, like first few chapters. With a graphic novel it's slightly different, so I might be able to get the whole thing done, but I think I'm going to time it out at about 20 minutes and see how we get on with that one. We are downloading and I'll start reading.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I didn't do 3 chapters, I actually did the whole thing, and I had lunch, and now it's like mid-afternoon. May have got slightly distracted, but that's fine. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed that graphic novel. I'm out of breath because I was running up the stairs. What I liked about it is it had way more in it than just lady boxing. It also had like friends to rivals, rivals to lovers. It had like politics and racism and misogyny. Not as a condonement, but just as like an interesting thing to have in, I guess. Because she's a half Indian, half English young woman who is learning to bare knuckle fight. Obviously the system is completely rigged against her, but it's really interesting to see like how her anger sees her through. I fucking love an angry character, and she's so justifiably angry as well, that even when she makes decisions that you don't necessarily agree with, it's really easy to empathise with her. The artwork was great, like I just thought it was great. So I would absolutely recommend Championess. I thought it was a really great graphic novel. I mean, the fact that it's mid-afternoon does mean that I need to pick up the pace just a little bit. So let's have a look and see what's next on my Netgalley list. Okay, next is Big Boned by Jo Watson. This is a body positive self-love book along the lines of Dumpling and Leah on the Come Up, or whatever it's called. Leah on the Offbeat? Yeah. So I'm assuming it's going to be a contemporary, I'm assuming it's going to be quite an easy read, but we'll give that one a go next, and I'll see you in a bit.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I've stopped with Big Boned, and I just want to, as a first impression, tell you why. I already know it's not going to be the book for me. It was described as fat positive or body positive, and there have already been like 8 fat phobic comments by page 5, and she has a specially abled brother, and I'm putting air quotes because that's how it's described, and I just want to do like a little bit of research before I continue with this book. Is this author neurodivergent? Can they talk about something like that? Is it going to feel authentic, or have they just done it to add another struggle to the character? I don't know. It's not my vibe at the moment, so I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not even going to review it on Netgalley or anything just yet. I'm going to do a bit more research and then maybe come back to it, because as far as this video goes, if it's going to be based on first impressions, I'm not impressed. You don't have to write a body positive book that slates fat people in the first chapter just to kind of go, okay, well, she's going to learn to love herself, but at the moment she feels like absolute shit. It doesn't have to be that narrative every single time, and that's kind of where I'm at on page 5. So we're just going to leave it there, and we're going to pick up something else, because I'm not really here for that. I find it incredibly frustrating that the only representation for fat people is that they start by hating themselves, and even if they learn to love themselves, it's because someone else has told them to. Like, you're allowed to love yourself just for the sake of fucking loving yourself. So, not here for it. Let's pick something else. What is next? Just wait for it to load. I've also had to plug it in because I've been on my phone all day. It is dying. Okay, so the next one should be a little bit different. We're going with Following Frankenstein. This is by Catherine Bruton, and this looks like a imaginative sequel to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So it's a middle grade. It should be a nice, easy, fun read. Let's see what I think.
2 hours later.
Okay, so Following Frankenstein was a little bit disappointing. It was very simplistically written, but I'm 3 chapters in and nothing's really happened. It's kind of just going through the motions of Frankenstein and kind of establishing that story, which I guess if you aren't a fucking gothic nerd like me, you might need re-establishing and understanding that Victor Frankenstein is the scientist, not the monster, understanding how they come in contact with the monster, etc. But as I don't know, I just felt like I didn't really need half of that. Like, there's no intrigue there. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. I probably won't commit to it just because it's just a bit disappointing really. I was really hoping it would be something a little bit more special than that, but the writing style I think just let it down a little bit. Now I'm saying that from the perspective, I understand it's for young readers, and I do generally quite like middle grade, but there's just something about that one that just doesn't, it's just not interesting me, which is a shame because there's a lot in that that I think I could really like. So we're just going to pick another one at random. I think I'm just going to stick with the 5 this time, because I'm running out of daylight and I actually need to get some work done. So let's have a look at what else I've got on here. Let's pick one at random. Okay, let's do Sienna, which looks to me like it's going to be a sci-fi contemporary. I don't know very much about this one going in at all, so this is really going to be a first impression because I have no idea what to expect with this one. Okay, so it's the end of the day. I've done so much reading. I've actually managed to get other stuff done as well, which is surprising. Was kind of disappointed by Sienna as well. It looks like I top-ended the books with ones that I liked at the beginning of this video, and I've ended on books that I didn't really like. I think my problem with Sienna is the writing style is really simplistic, and where it's sci-fi-y more than fantasy, that is just something that jars with me. I'm not a massive fan of science fiction, so when the writing style is a bit abrupt and then it's science fiction on top of it, it just doesn't really bode very well. But that's 5 books that I have got through, kind of enough to review them anyway, so those reviews will be going up very soon. But if you're interested in any of these books, or any of these have tickled your fancy, I will put the release dates below. The only book that is currently already out is Championess, so you will be able to get that through Waypoint Books if you so wish. Feel free to go over there and check out any of the books that I've got there and help me support me in this content. What's the last book that you read on Netgalley that you actually really liked? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you don't have Netgalley, tell me why. But other than that, I hope you have a nice day and I'll see you next time.